Well, we already know that Donald Trump was intentionally downplaying coronavirus while privately telling journalist Bob Woodward that it was a serious and severe virus that is airborne. Now we've learned through new reporting at the New York Times that on February 24th, members of Trump's economic team were privately addressing the conservative Hoover Institution and warned about the implications of COVID-19 on the US economy. We're talking about the Trump administration essentially warning Wall Street investors about how serious the pandemic could be. So this happened on February 24th. On that same day, Donald Trump tweeted this: "The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. We are in contact with everyone, and all relevant countries. CDC and World Health have been working hard and very smart. Stock market starting to look very good to me." Now the next day, literally the next day, board members, many of them Republican donors, got another taste of government uncertainty from Larry Kudlow, the director of the National Economic Council. Hours after he had boasted on CNBC, meaning publicly, that the virus was contained in the United States and it's pretty close to all airtight, Kudlow asserted that the virus was contained in the US to date, but now we just don't know. So again, on cable television, Kudlow's telling the American people, airtight. You guys have nothing to worry about. Privately, when speaking to investors, he shares uncertainty, worry, and of course, that influences the way these money managers invest in the stock market. I mean, it's incredible that this kind of stuff is happening. We know about it, and this is barely even a big news story today. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, so he was talking to folks from the Hoover Institution. It's a conservative think tank at Stanford. Condoleezza Rice, the head of it. So the establishment Republicans are still, in a lot of ways, backing Trump behind the scenes. And their board is filled with Republican donors. So they go to their donors and they tell them, the stuff we told on air, don't listen to that, okay? Time to panic. And guess what? They did panic, and that caused. And meanwhile, Trump's saying, "I'm not telling the American people because I don't want them to panic." And he's telling his donors, "Go ahead, sell, sell, sell." In fact, let me give you some quotes here. So a hedge fund consultant was at the gathering. He writes a memo afterwards, and he said, "What struck me was the virus as a quote point of concern was brought up quote totally unprovoked." So he writes a memo saying to everybody, hey, they just said on CNBC, nothing to worry about. They kept bringing up to us, you should worry about it. And it wasn't because we asked, it's because they were telling us unprompted. And then there were other folks as well, including, get a load of this, Scott Atlas. Now, Dr. Atlas is the guy who is the biggest kook inside the Trump administration now, and he's the one going for herd immunity. Let's just make sure as many people as possible get coronavirus, and then when enough people die off, we'll be fine. Meanwhile, back then he's a Hoover fellow and a Stanford professor, and he's telling folks, and including one of the guys who wrote the memo, was his source. He was his source that the government foresaw a serious crisis. So back then he's selling donors, serious crisis, make money off it. Because you gotta understand something, it's not just about selling your stocks before they go down. They then make a short bet, and that means you bet against the market so you make money while everybody else loses money. And under normal circumstances, there's nothing wrong with a short bet. But if you got private information from the government because you gave them money, first of all, that's a bribe, okay, that's how that works. And then you make a ton more money by betting against the American people. And
Can I also share some more details? Because it's just absolutely gross how everything went down. So this meeting happens, the Hoover Institution is warned about the uncertainty related to coronavirus. And then following that, a memo was written by a veteran hedge fund manager named William Callanan. And he apparently emailed money manager David Tepper to say that numerous Trump administration officials, Kudlow, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and a economists at the Council of Economic Advisors had given the presentation at the White House on February 24th, expressed a greater degree of alarm about the coronavirus than the administration was saying publicly. On February 23rd, by the way, Peter Navarro, one of Trump's economic advisors, also distributed a memorandum predicting that the virus could affect as many as 100 million Americans and kill up to 2 million of them. And that 2 million figure is really fascinating because 2 million is what is expected if the Trump administration tries to do this so-called herd immunity approach, which is disastrous because a ton of people who don't need to die would die as a result. But the point here is you have all of these different players within the Trump administration fully aware of how the potential severity of this pandemic. And while they're telling us, oh, it's totally fine, don't worry, it's just a hoax. Behind the scenes, they're taking care of their donors, they're taking care of Wall Street. And the most infuriating thing is exactly what Cenk mentioned right now, that they short the market and they literally make money off of this information.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you one more set of quotes here. It's the first one's from Trump, what Anna told you. He said on February 24th, stock market is starting to look very good to me. Meanwhile, they write the memo after listening to 2 different Trump administration officials. One of the investors that gets the memo, his reaction is, quote, short everything. So while Trump's telling you, oh, keep your money in the markets, don't worry. He's telling his buddies who funded his campaign, hey, make sure you get out there and make a lot of money off of these suckers and losers who I'm telling to keep their money in the markets and not worry about their healthcare and their well-being. And the investors got that message loud and clear when they write short everything, bet for the market to go down. Look, the whole system is sick because we have donors who have this access that you guys never have, and they make tons of money off of it. In fact, they'd be irrational not to bribe politicians, because who wouldn't want a tip like that? They could make millions of dollars off of them. You see the dinner that Trump went to when he was, turns out, positive for COVID, the one in New Jersey, and some of the folks gave $250,000 to be at that dinner and take a picture with Donald Trump. They probably regretted that later because that means they were closer to him. But you think like $250,000 is an unbelievable amount of money? No, hell no, you could easily make a couple of $1 million off a tip like this. So all it is an investment, and it's an investment in corruption. And this, ironically, from the guy who said that he was gonna drain the swamp. So that's the thing, even if you're a Trump fan who wanted to drain the swamp and believed in what he said, it was always a lie, and this is an excellent example of that. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.